Started with this quiz review here. And again, as a reminder, the video link will be in here once this is done. Very quickly, to plan, we will meet at 9 a.m. on 4/24/2021, which is next Saturday. And again, this is just for individuals. Ali, you already let me know, but if you're reading this at a later date, just let me know via email. That'll be fine. I don't really do the 15-minute requirement to come in here. If you come in here, I'll give you the quiz password. I would say, just for for your sake, try to get here at 9 a.m. because that will give you the most amount of time to take the quiz, ask me any questions that you have. I've had students send me a question for every question on the quiz, and that's completely fine with me. I'm here to help you guys succeed and to teach you guys. So as many questions as you want to ask, just let me know. You want to annoy me, this is my job. So you could spam me in the chat if you'd like to. After we finish the quiz, you can inform me. I said email or Zoom chat, but you're to send me a Zoom chat message and a private message just saying I'm done. And then as soon as you're done, I will ask you to join me in a breakout room to discuss your mid-quarter evaluations. I usually take around 2 minutes or anything with that as well, because you guys are doing great so far with the projects I'm seeing and the submissions. So no complaints on my end there. So again, we'll just discuss that. And then after you finish up your quiz and evaluation, you can get to work on the projects 2 and capstone part 2, or take a little break as well from the content stuff. But this is usually the plan for quiz 1. And this will be the same for quiz 2, except the presentations will be replacing the mid-quarter eval. We could talk about that a bit later on. But before we get started here with me going through these slides, I just want to discuss the general layout of this quiz. It's a lot of true and false, and it's a lot of definitions, because we did do a lot of presentations. I mentioned earlier that we've reviewed over 200 slides at this point. So a lot of it is just kind of mix and matching, like, is this the proper way to do it? I will say take your time and read some of the questions, because some of the questions ask stuff like, what is not true about this? So if you see a not true or anything, that make sure that you double check. And again, if you are confused or nervous on a question, just send it over in the chat and I can clarify anything that you'd like. Now, if you see here, the way I usually do this, because me personally, my experience, this helps out students, but if you guys would like this in a different manner, just let me know. But what I did is I put these kind of titles that are very broad at the start up here. And then underneath them, I went ahead and discussed what they're talking about here. So essentially, if you see a question that says something like the four core value, or excuse me, the 4 pillars of content marketing strategy are X, Y, Z, and U or something. It says the 4 different strategies. You can come into these slides and check if this be Screech. Oh, Ali, I'm going to provide you guys with these slides, so I'll upload them so you guys can download them yourself as a PDF. So you could take screenshots as well if you prefer, but this will be recorded on YouTube, and you can use these slides at your own convenience as well. But essentially, oh, no worries, it's fine. Essentially, for the marketing strategy, generally, if you see a question, you can look at this bullet point and then just double check, like, oh, okay, so maybe that question is wrong because it's actually core message instead of core profit or something like that. So these are helpful for that one. I usually do it this way, just because I think it's easier to get through them. And then this way, you guys aren't spending time, going through the 45 slides and trying to remember. These slides are very helpful too. I would recommend using the slides too if you'd like, but these should be helpful as well. And at the top up here, I went ahead and just documented the chapters that they're referencing here. So chapters 1 to 4 is your intro to content marketing, and here's the information from it. If you'd like, you can open up chapters 1 to 4, and very quickly, to get access to these chapters, if you go to your homepage in DM150, underneath content, and then in PowerPoints, these will all be here in the PowerPoint form. I'm assuming everyone can open these as a PowerPoint. If not, I can make them as PDFs if that would be easier to open and view. But just let me know if you don't have access to these, and I can do that. But you could see if you look at this PowerPoint here. We scroll down a bit more. As you can see, there's a lot more slides here, and it's good. But as you can see, Where is it? I had to slide there. Anyway, it's essentially this information repeated, but in a bit more of a concise form. So I hope this is helpful for here. These are your brands. And again, in general, the way that I lay these out is if you see the question up there, you can review it. So again, your brand is why you do what you do with your company. And then again, the brand is why the business exists, and why the business exists is the main driver to a brand that attracts many people. Meaning, the reason that people get attracted to your business is because of the reason it exists, pretty much. So, what is your business doing? I'm going to buy something off of your business because it exists like this. Now, content marketing strategy again. This is a bit of a large one, but these four items compose of it, and that's kind of all you really need to know. Again, we can break down into the nitty-gritty details of each of these, but essentially, each of these influence the next one. Your values influence your actions. The actions that you take influence the customers that are attracted, and the customers that are attracted influence the message that you give off. Core actions are not your influencers. I believe there's a trick question on the quiz that asks core actions are the influence of your brand. They are not your influencers. Please remember that they are just actions that you take. So pretty much if you are volunteering, if you do charity work, if you don't do charity work and stuff like that as well. Your values are what define your behavior as a business, essentially what makes your core actions. And then the values that you have as your business are what make up your unique selling points. So if you have a business that is very environmentally conscious, that's a value that your business has. And people will be, oh, I'm going to purchase from them because, for instance, they don't test on rats with the shampoos and stuff like that. They are anti-cruelty. So those are values that define the actions that you take. And then, of course, people will be willing to spend more because you take those values and actions seriously. Now, here's a real nuanced little question. And it's essentially asking if content strategy needs to change. And the answer is that your content strategy, or how you market yourself, always needs to be able to be changed because social media is always changing too, right? There might be a new Instagram coming out soon. I don't know if it's always there. We have LinkedIn, which is like a Facebook for business now. There's an Indeed. There's going to be probably 4 more by the next year. So make sure that you're always on top of your strategy so that you can update and change it. But just also remember that you don't need to be on every platform. Just be really efficient with the platforms you are on. Great. Now, a lot of these... sorry, let you in. Again, I split this up into bullet points, and this is information we covered before as well. So I won't go through each and every one of these, but I just want to make sure that you guys know how to operate navigate these slides. So again, some of the questions on the quiz and stuff for the third bullet point here might ask how can you help your content get shared, or it might actually say to help your content get shared, it must be. And then here, I just added in the definition from the lecture slides, which needs to be informative, opinion-changing, and useful. Now, another issue here, another point is how do you determine who you share your content with? And we remember this from our, so I keep using your example of the club, soccer club jumpers, but essentially you want to share your content with people who will also be willing to share it as well. So they're okay with putting on the logo, they like the brand, they like talking about it, and then that way you'll get more free advertising and branding. Now here's a really special one that we didn't cover too in depth, but the question is asking, how do you figure out a way to make your customers feel special? And we talked about this before, that you want to share information with people that is informative and opinion changing. And what that means is that it needs to be unique and specific. So you don't want to just share information that kind of anyone can know. You don't, if you're a gym company, you don't want to say that working out is good for you. Like, I think everyone can understand that working out is good for you. What you can say is something like, if you stretch for 15 minutes a day, you might lower the chance of a cramp. You might, be healthier overall. And that's a bit more unique and specific that will help push your customers to think about it too. And then maybe the customer might start stretching 15 minutes a day. And then whoever he goes to the gym with or she goes to the gym with, they might make their friends start stretching and stuff too. And then, of course, it will link back to you because you shared that information with them. So making people feel smart and unique and being able to allow them to share like a piece of information that makes them feel smart too is always helpful. And that's the unique specific information. Now, up here in the second one, sorry, I'm kind of jumping around, but the trouble creating content, there's a lot of good suggestions in this question, and I actually got this one wrong because I was picking a few of them because I thought they were good. But just as a freebie, this one is hire a content expert to get you started. That also seems like a bit of an advertisement as well, it seems. But overall, this question is going to ask you to pick this one because that will really just kind of fill in all the blanks for you and let you get started on the right track. Now, the customer profiles up here, the top three are important to remember about a profile, their habits, where they find out things, and how they like to do business. I want to make a point, though, that a customer's actions cannot affect your brand's behavior, right? So what this means is that if someone does something crazy while wearing one of your sweaters or while wearing some of your merch, that's not your fault. Like, your brand is not responsible unless you somehow told someone to do that. But usually if you're doing okay with your brand, you won't be telling people to go crazy or anything. So the customer's actions don't affect the brand's behaviors. And remember, your behavior, is it AZ? Where was it? Your behavior is a part of your core values, right? So your core values shouldn't really change. And because of that, customers' actions shouldn't change your core values. Awesome. Now, here's just a few more points here. What's the best way to deliver content? And then the best way to deliver content to a customer is in the way they want to get it. If they enjoy reading the newspaper, they maybe make an ad in the newspaper. If they like Twitter or Instagram posts, make a Twitter or Instagram post about it too. And again, that's very up in the air because you need to determine what your customer base is first and stuff like that too. Now, the call to action, which Solomon thankfully reminded me to do for our project 2 there with our advertorial. But your call to action should be something that's clear, simple, and short. Keep it simple and short. Yeah, I think I forgot to the quote, sorry. But, simple, short, stupid type of deal where someone can easily read what the call to action is, do it, right? If you remember from earlier, I said, call this number for a chance to win something. That's a call to action, and it's very short, sweet, and anyone can do it if they have a phone. A call to action that you shouldn't do is just say stuff is for free. Don't say that you're giving away something all the time. Giveaways and sweepstakes are good, but making it more involved with your stuff, such as calling your number or reaching your website, is a bit better as a call to action. Great. And one more little point is that when people are trying to search for information about your business, they want comprehensive information. You can assume that if someone is taking the time to look you up and try to figure out what you're about, they want as much information as possible because they're going to take the time to read it. The only time when you don't want to overload a customer with information is if they are not searching for it. Great. Again, you want to create content, as you said earlier, that customers rely on. You need to show the customer that they have a problem and that you have a solution to the problem. Remember how the earlier today with the makeup ad, it said that skincare can take a while. So we have a simple skincare routine. That is a need for the customer, and then that is a solution is to have a simple skincare routine. I mentioned this earlier, but people feel smart if they can share information that not everyone knows to other people. I refer to this as inside information, and the quiz does as well, but essentially inside information that is not readily accessible. And think of that example again with the gym stuff. Exercising is good is not inside information. Inside information might be doing a certain form of a stretch or, doing something in a different way that is clinically proven to help out your heart or something. That is inside information that people will like to share because it will make them feel smarter with whoever they're sharing it with. One more little thing is that content marketing is not a modern thing. If you go back to the ancient times, people have been advertising stuff and trying to get their names out there. So don't think that this is something brand new in the digital age. Content marketing does all of these things. It helps raise your profile, customer count, and gives you authority, but it does not make you modern. Everyone is doing it. So just make sure that you don't think it makes you modern. Great. So if you see up here, the chapters numbers changed. And again, this is referencing the questions again. So if you're asked, for instance, on a quiz, what's an efficient way to write for marketing? Here's some tips and bullet points to help narrow down your search for the answer. You don't want to, or excuse me, don't make the marketing or writing that you do for your content third or second person. Don't refer to yourself in the third person. If you're making a brand that's personable, make sure that you don't say, we did this, or excuse me, don't say, I wouldn't say John Lynch teaches these classes. I would say I teach the classes, for instance. So make sure that you use the first person, establish that personality there, keep your tone and style consistent. And again, remember that when you're writing for marketing, this is your brand and you need to establish that relationship with the customer. And the only way you can do that is through your writing. So make sure you have the writing in the way you want it. Again, sharing information. You want to share unique information that customers can't be able to find anywhere because that helps them feel a bit more important. Also, this second part here is that you should share information differently on different platforms. This means that you shouldn't make a article post on your website and then copy it to Twitter and Instagram. Maybe make a condensed version for Twitter because Twitter only has that word count limit. Make an image version for Instagram because Instagram is all about photos. So make things a bit different, and then that will help expand your customer base as well. Now, I combined chapters 11 to 17 because that is all about marketing collateral, and we did this yesterday and today. And as you can see here, I think these ones will be pretty straightforward for you guys. I don't need to go through, well, I can go through each of them anyway. But if you see here, I pretty much put the type of marketing collateral that we'll be using. So if you have a question on emails, you can go to this email section here and check out what some of the tips are for helping narrow down your search. And then your headlines as well. Again, your headlines are read 5 times more often than the body, so make sure you have a good one. As a general tip, the true and false questions that are on here, I don't say if they're true or false or not. I do give you the proper answer for them, though. So if a question, for instance, says bodies are read 5 times more often than a headline, you can go to headlines, and you can see here that the headlines are read 5 times more often than the body. So that means that question would be false because the body is not read more. That's just a random example, but you can see here that all of these are referenced here, and you can just look at these and try to narrow down your search. I wanted to go over the press release stuff a little bit because we are doing a press release for your capstone project too. And I want to make sure that some of this information makes sense as it is a bit for the press release. Press release can be pretty broad, but again, what you're doing is you're trying to craft a press release by looking at a publication you want to release it in. Remember that when you're looking at the publication, you want to find someone who's relevant in that publication, such as the editor or someone who will write in it. And then after you find them, you're going to send the press release that you created to them and then check if they received it. This is just a general tip for having a well-crafted press release. Essentially, you want to make sure that it gets posted, that the guy gives you the thumbs up, and that everything's okay. And again, why would you want to do a press release? Well, you might do a press release to show off a new product. You might want to do one to show off that you're doing things for your community, such as a press release for Target would say Target is donating $3 million to charity foundations. That's a press release. Target is doing stuff for its community. Industry acumen, that's a fancy way of saying good judgments and quick decision making. Essentially, you're trying to show off that you're on top of things and that you understand what's going on. I do want to go over database tools a little bit more. Database tools seemed a bit complicated when we looked at them in the slides, but for our purposes for quiz 1, and we can deep dive into them in our next classes and stuff as well. But for your purposes for the quiz, what you need to know about database tools is that they can figure out all of your emails and allow you to refine your targeting. That means that it can figure out who is looking at your certain emails, if they're tracking attention, if the clicks are large on the emails, and then the age group and the categories as well. An example of this, without getting too into it, is a database might give you the time of creation of a newsletter. So your database can tell you, okay, I have 40 new emails, 40 new emails registered today. So what you could do is segment those guys out and send them the welcome newsletter. And then the database will tell you that you already have people with emails that are over 2 weeks old. Then you can send them the regular newsletter and stuff like that. So a database is essentially there to help you refine your targeting and figure out who gets what in your emailings. An advertorial again, you guys might be sick of advertorials at this point, but again, advertorials are editorials that are an ad. You're going to make sure your advertorial is in a publication, and once it's in that publication, you need to match the style and tone for that publication. If you have a very, let's say, what's a good example? If you have my watch example from earlier, I wouldn't want in that publication of watches, which probably is very fancy and very minimal and stuff like that. I wouldn't want advertorial that's hot pink with a lot of bright colors and stuff like that as well, as it might just look weird in comparison to the other ones. So make sure you research the publication you want to publish your advertorial in. For example, again, if you're with a high quality publication, you can make the advertorial high quality and sleek looking and stuff like that. The tagline, of course, is your headline and your sticky line, all those words combined. Essentially, it's what your logo is, or excuse me, it's what the little writing after your logo is. Nike's is just do it. Avis is I forgot what Avis is. L'Oreal is because you deserve it and stuff like that as well. So again, a tagline's purpose is you want to provide the perfect soundbite message, essentially a fancy way of saying you want to define your brand and your personality in 4 to 5 words. So that's what your tagline is. And the tagline will display your brand behavior and the goal of your company all in one line. And for the last one here with your brochure, brochures are not outdated, so I would say that you can use them a lot. And then, of course, what's the important thing about a brochure is that you can create different brochures for different stages, right? If the customer is brand new, they're going to get a welcome brochure maybe. If it's a returning one, you can maybe have some stuff that says in stock again or new products you might like. And then, of course, if it's a customer that has checked that they want to see different products, you might have a brochure that's meant for that. And I think that is it so far. So to wrap up the recording here, again, the quiz will be on 4/24. Try to get here as early as you can. But again, if you can't make it that time, just let me know via email, and we'll figure out the quiz at a different date. The quiz will be, it's a total of 30 questions with one attempt you get 15 questions per attempt at the quiz. If you fail the quiz, you can retake it again. But again, I would say take some time, review the slides, and ask me some questions before retaking it. You are always welcome to retake it at a different date if you want to have some more time to study. Again, you are free to use these slides, the video that is recorded here, and all of the PowerPoint slides that we've reviewed so far at your own discretion. Let me just show you one last time. If you go to Content and then PowerPoints, you have chapters 1, 4, 5 to 10, 11 to 14, and 15 to 17. These 4 right here. And you can read through them at your own leisure there. You are welcome to use these during your quiz. You're welcome to ask me any questions during the quiz using Zoom chat, and you have access to these slides as well.